In this video, I'll talk about one important skill set that you must learn better early on in your university days, if not in the early days of your career, that can really help you excel and make a big difference in your personal and professional life. Regardless of your education background, whether you're in an engineering or science, or you're in business or management, or even arts and humanities, this one skill set can really help you make great decisions, at the same time really help you stand out in the crowd. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Salman. I'm a tech product and innovation expert based out of Bangkok, and I'm currently in the middle of reinventing my life. In this channel, I talk about personal transformation and how you can accelerate your learning, whether you're a university student or a young professional, for a better life. As always, I'm going to put the timestamp in the description below, so feel free to jump into whichever the part you want to start first. With that, let's dive into it. Now, before I walk you through and help you understand the importance of this skill set, which is sales, by the way, let us help recover ourselves from the misdirection that we have often received quite early on in our life. We receive this when we are selecting our education track, the path which will become our overall academic career. We also get the same thing as we are in the beginning, in the early stage of our career, when we are choosing to work in a particular industry. What happens is that when we are entering into university, in the early days, we are mostly taking general courses that are much more wide open instead of a specialization. And before even figuring out what more is there and learning to understand more about our interest, we're asked to specialize. And that's when we shut our doors and windows to opening up to ideas that might be very useful for us, and not really exploring the cross-functional, the cross-industry opportunities that is there when it comes to different subject matters. The same thing happens when it comes to our career choices. We're expected to have only one industry as part of our specialization. Within the industry, we are okay to move, but if better, we are expected to be in the same industry, in the same role track, in the same company for the rest of our life. Now that is a thing of the past. We need to sort of unlearn that way of thinking about our career and understand that we live in a world where our careers are more of micro careers. In our lifetime, we will have multiple careers of ourselves across multiple industries, into different types of work and contribution opportunities that can really show a true breadth of who we are as a person and how much of a contribution we can make to the society. But if you go back to, again, your university or college years, you're always expected to be in a box. You choose a particular specialization, you draw yourself a circle around you, and then you stay within the circle. You stay within that bubble and the box that doesn't really allow you to see beyond your own specialization. The same way, all that we are taught in the universities, in most universities, they're expected to focus more on the text as opposed to focusing on what might be more outside the box, real life examples and tasks and assignments where we can really go and work. It's only one internship that we have to do sometimes that can really help us get something for our universities, but it's actually more important for us to have more practical knowledges. Rather, 80 or 60% of our knowledge should be coming from those practical experiences during those university years. It kind of reminds me of a great quote by Muhammad Ali, who talks about the man who has no imagination has no wings. It's exactly that. So we are very early on in our life, we are asked to limit our imagination and think within a very restrained, a very limited scope and optic. Hence, our imaginations are never broad and we end up missing out. But the skill set that I want to talk about, which is very important, is that one skill set that's going to broaden your horizon. It's going to really make you a very multifaceted, diversified person, not only as what you do, but also as to how you see and interact with the world. That can make a big difference. Now, almost every entity, regardless of their type, whether it's a for-profit or non-profit organization, they all have some dependency on sales. Whether what they do is sales or not, it is inherent in terms of their existence, in terms of the survival, that they need to be involved into some sorts of sales activities. Whether it's a for-profit organization selling a product or service, they need to be able to present themselves in different communication channels, distribution channels, and communicate themselves to the end consumers in a chaotic, in a noisy world so that their words and communications get heard. Similarly, if it's a non-profit organization who also are working more for people who, let's say, who are disadvantaged, and they're not necessarily selling any product, rather giving them value, they themselves need to pitch towards the donors and the funding organizations to receive more funds so that they can continue to support the people who are the beneficiaries of their programs. And the list goes on. So it is so important that the sales is part of pretty much everything we do in life. And it is so important at this point to recognize what are those traits of a good salesperson, a successful salesperson, that we could embody in ourselves to make ourselves well equipped to deliver on our own promises when we are interacting in a social or in a professional construct. Also, when we are running a business, how this can really help us drive great results and KPIs for our business as well as for our organization. Now that brings me to the last part of the video, where I want to walk you through some traits of a great salespeople. People who have been proven to be successful, have demonstrated some of the skills, if not all of them, to really show their prowess in being able to be agile into what they do and how they deliver results. There's no 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 skills that can only be narrowed down to a great salesperson, but if these skill sets are something that you also yourself embody, you have a higher chances of succeeding in life. Let's imagine you are a computer science student and you are studying computer science, you're learning to program, and your goal is to work for an organization where you will be an Android developer yourself. Now, as a developer, you're mostly working in the back office. You're mostly working in the behind the scene. You're hardly facing the consumers. You're working with an engineering team where your job is to deliver one part of the component of the whole big product. Now, it's very difficult for an engineer who is mostly sitting behind the screen and typing and running codes is to really make a big impression among the rest of the organization when you really don't have these skill sets or these traits of a salesperson in you. And those traits can be simple confidence. I've met a lot of engineers in my life who are extremely talented, way talented than most people I know, but really lack the confidence to speak in front of others, to really make an impact by sharing what they know is right. They have the right idea, they have the right identification of the problem, but they just don't have the confidence to really speak and have that extrovertedness that's often a very quality skill set of a salesperson to make a point in a meeting or in a discussion. One of the other things that I often face and see is that the engineers sometimes get easily bogged down when they see after too many days they've been failing to fix a bug, for example, and it's the resilience that often really wears them down and they get extremely frustrated. Whereas a salesperson is someone who gets rejections on a daily basis. In most of the cases, the rejections are a part of being a salesperson. So from very early on, they learn to deal with rejections and failures, and they're not necessarily after making sure that they are 100% correct every single time. It's more about how they make the next one better from the failures that they have created for themselves. The other thing about salespeople is that they're great listeners. Although they are having certain expertise about the product, but they also want to listen to the people who potentially are the end users. So when a salesperson goes to a meeting, although they have a big basket of information and things that they can share and pitch to the customers, they sit in the meeting, listen to the customer, listen to the audience, people in the meeting room, really attentively to understand what is their pain points. And it is the salespeople who often bring the idea from the consumers, which eventually become part of the roadmap for a company. Salespeople are also very good at multitasking, although I don't really am a big fan or believer that multitasking is a great thing, but sometimes in life, in a personal life, being able to have a bit of multitasking skill can probably help you manage many of the things that we often have to do being part of our adult life. Salespeople are also extremely analytic. Now, not all, let's say if you're an engineer, not necessarily you have to be analytic. As long as you're very good in programming, it probably goes a long way for you to deliver and ship great products without any bugs or bad QA requirements. But if you really are analytical, not only you're building codes or building a feature, you're also asking the right questions about what sort of analytics that you need to be using as an insight to really make a decision for driving that particular feature, which will eventually add a value in terms of the product that you're building. Also, one of the other things about salespeople that they're ever optimistic. I see a lot of people, and most people are very much pessimistic, or if not pessimistic, often are not having the grit to really continue to fight in the face of difficulty. But the salespeople are by born optimists, and they're always having a bright smile in their face and telling that even if it's near impossible, they will have a way of coming and proving otherwise. And it's the optimism of a salesperson that is extremely critical for us to also embody if you want to make a big difference in our life. And the list goes on. It's the accountability, it's the curiosity, it's the storytelling capability of a salesperson, the goal orientation, and a great network. I see a lot of people complain who are, let's say, whether you're a doctor or an engineer or you are from fine arts background, you say that I'm not good in communication, I'm not good in storytelling, I'm not good in sort of interacting or networking with people. But these are default skills that you need to have. If you're a manager, you need to not only be good in programming language if you're an engineering student, but you also need to have those skill sets so that you can not only have the knowledge of the technical part, but you also have the right knowledge to be able to communicate by networking and collaborating with all the stakeholders. So the list goes on, and what I really want to emphasize here is that our goal here is to identify those skill sets that is not natural to us, that is not natural to our subject matter or our specialization, and how we can learn them, how we can start learning to practice them in our life so that irrespective of our background, we become a very efficient individual who can contribute regardless whether it's in our personal life or in our professional life. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the like button to give me a little bit of encouragement to keep doing more videos after office hours and really trying to help you guys so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I've made all throughout my life. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so and share with people who might find this also very useful. If you're a student, share it with your fellow classmates. If you are a young professional, share it with those who work in your team or in organizations. With that, until then, I see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Okay. Did I say hi to the camera? You have taken away all my time last week. And because of you, I couldn't record any YouTube video. You want to tell my friends and who have been waiting for my videos? All you've been doing is sleeping and drawing me to yourself all the time. I thought I fed you. No, you can't just ask for some squishing right now and scratch it. By the way, this is my cat. We just adopted her 7 days ago. Her name is Daphne. Daphne Meowington, if you can understand the pun. Because we are so obsessed with Bridgerton, we just couldn't have thought of any better name for our cat. And she's the most clingy thing that we could ever have in our life. And no. Hello. You're on camera. No.